information as soon as we have all the facts together. And yesterday just wasn't the time, and the chief will go over that in detail. My name is Brian Dangerfield. I'm the Public Information Officer for the City of Mesquite, Nevada. And I'd like to introduce our Chief of Police, Douglas Law, and he will outline what some of the findings are that we need to accumulate over the last couple of days. Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I too would like to thank you again for your patience and your understanding. And just so you know, I watched pretty much most of your reports last night, and want to thank you for your professionalism and the sensitivity that you have used and discretion that you have portrayed during this very sensitive issue and tragedy that's taking place here in our city. I have with me here, standing by my side today, Lieutenant Troy Tanner. He's here just in case my age gets to me and I need to be prodded along the way, so I appreciate him here. He is in charge of our investigation division, so he's pretty much been heading up everything that's taken place with our investigative team until now. First and foremost, I'd just kind of like to start off by giving a little bit of a chronological synopsis of what we do know now and what we have found up to this point. Sometime approximately Monday evening, around 8 o'clock in the evening, Councilwoman Fairchild began to have communication with City Attorney Cheryl Hunt, in which she was requesting to have a special meeting with the mayor and council the following day. That communication went on, and by at least 10 o'clock that evening, the time and date had been set in which she had indicated she had intended to tender her resignation from the council. Sometime early in the morning, we know that she delivered a small package to a very close friend of hers, and then went back to her home, and somewhere around 4:20 in the morning, sometime around that time period, she emailed her close friend telling her that that package was left at her doorstep, and asked her to deliver the contents of that package to her mother. We were then called at the police department. Dispatch received a call sometime in the area of 4:30 or 4:33, and you will be given, after you fill out, of course, the request for information. We have transcribed and will also email to you the audio of the 911 call that dispatch received at about 4:33 in the morning. It essentially just was a call that dispatch answered. The voice who we have identified to be that of Councilwoman Fairchild did go on to say that, gave the address and location of where she was, which was her residence, and said that officers should respond, and went on to say that she was, from what we can pick out of the conversation and off the telephone, that she was post-suicidal, and that she could be located in the back bedroom. Officers arrived just minutes later, and upon entering the residence, where she also said in her call to council or to dispatch that the front door would be open and for them to walk in when they arrived. As they arrived, they did locate both Councilwoman Fairchild and her husband deceased in the bedroom on the bed. It has been determined and confirmed by the coroner's office, as well as our investigations, that Mr. Bill Fairchild was a victim of murder, and that Councilwoman Fairchild turned in a weapon on herself. Both were deceased by a single gunshot wound. As I mentioned before, the caliber of that weapon, which she was still in possession of when we arrived, was a 9mm, and we are in possession of that now. Really, up to that point, there's not much more, except, as you know, the coroner's office has a little more to do, and that may take a few weeks to do. Some of those tests are a little more time-consuming, such as goes on with any and all coroner reports, toxicology, and those types of things. So I think that probably answers a lot of the questions that many have had on their mind up until now. And if there's any other questions right now at this point, I don't know what they would be, but we could go ahead and entertain a few.
Any questions or
Based on what you found at the scene, was there any evidence that Bill Fairchild was awake or asleep when he was shot?
Or was there any kind of a struggle, or did he try to defend himself? Do we know?
No, well, we did not find any evidence at all of any type of struggle at all with Mr. Fairchild.
Do we know if the gun was registered?
Pardon me?
Was the gun registered? Legally owned?
I can't answer that.
Was there a suicide note left?
There was a note left for us to find when we came in, and I'll tell you specifically, the note was very short. It simply stated to whomever that she was sorry for disappointing whoever, and then the rest of the note was personal information to family members on how she would like things to proceed as far as funerals and those type of arrangements.
So is it safe to assume that Bill Fairchild, you said he was a victim of murder, he had no idea this was coming, this wasn't anything they had talked about previously, these suicidal issues?
I would say it's pretty safe to say.
Is it safe to assume that the issues with the city council, the resignation, this was the direct cause of this murder?
You know, I don't think I can say with that is, I think many of you did such a good job last night in how you reported this. And there may be many things that led up to this, and we don't know what's going on in someone's mind to get to this point in their life. So those are questions I don't know if we'll ever have answers to.
Are you able to release who this friend was that she dropped this package off to?
At this time, no, I don't think that would be fair. That would be private information. If that friend is willing to come forward, then that would be it for her.
Does her mother live locally in her family?
No, ma'am, her mother does not live locally.
Was the 911 call made after Bill Fairchild was already dead?
We believe so.
Can you tell us where they were shot? Stomach, head? I know it's kind of gruesome, I apologize.
Yeah, both shots were made to the head.
Any other questions?
Somebody asked before, and I didn't get the answer. Is there an indication whether or not Bill Fairchild was asleep when he was shot? Is there any way to determine that?
You know, I don't know if there's really any way to determine that at this point. As I said, he seemed to be in a position where he was very peaceful. So that's as far as I'll go at this point.
I think he was laying in bed.
He was in bed.
How are you and the local government and the police doing? Because obviously this is not something you see every day here.
Now,
This
this
is a
is-
difficult case to
I think it's obvious to, and obvious to say that this has been a really tough thing for all of us. Not only these people who have served and whom we have worked with for some time in our community, but both these folks are also, and I can say this, fallen comrades of ours. I mean, they are both, if not retired, veteran law enforcement officers themselves, as well as Mr. Fairchild having been a veteran in the military. So, a lot well-known people, very well-liked people. I can tell you that I personally, on a personal note, have married children who have worked with Bill Fairchild in years past. And as soon as they found out about this, they called me from around the country where they live, and they're devastated.
Now, I know you can't say that her troubles were what actually caused her to do this, but is there anything else that would point towards, could have been something else that happened, any infidelity in marriage or any other?
triggers even possibility of a past of mental illness.
I am not unaware completely of any past history such as that, so I couldn't say.
Is there anything the city's doing to help other city employees to cope with this loss?
Well, I hope what we're all doing is just making sure everyone's being very sensitive to each other about how everyone may be feeling about this. And obviously, I'm sure in every office and everywhere that everyone is spending time talking about it and consoling one another. And I'm sure that's going on each day.
Have there been any arrangements made for a memorial of any kind or some type of a...
At this point, no.
City?
We're still trying to let the families deal with it and figure out how they're going to go about and deal with the situation themselves. And once they do that, then I'm sure that there will be something coming forward with information about that.
Thank you.
You mentioned family, specifically the mother. Did the Fairchilds have any grown children?
Bill did have 2 grown daughters, and we have spoken to them, and they have certainly expressed their grief. And, yeah, that was, I'm assuming, from a previous marriage.
Yeah, so Donna did not have children, and they did not have any
Not that
children.
I'm aware of, no, they hadn't.
Do you have any idea of what their financial situation was like?
I don't. I can tell you that they both had pretty good careers in law enforcement, so I think that they had, retired in that aspect, and I know that they had worked here for some time, whether part-time or otherwise, so they appear to be fairly secure and happy.
I don't know who can answer this, whether it's either of you. Can you go into any detail as to why this item was put on the agenda for her removal for the council? I know there was a lot of details available yesterday, but any backstory that could maybe at least clear up maybe reports for that?
I think you probably have gone on, and those of you that don't have access to the internet, the website where they have the agenda items.
We've
there's
seen
a lot
the
of
agenda, but if there's
documentation
anything
there.
specific, because I didn't mention any specific instances of what violation of code would have been. I don't know if you were able to release any of that information.
Yeah, I don't have any specifics on that. That's available. Anybody that doesn't have access to that, I'd be happy to show them how to find that on our website. Is there any other questions? Otherwise, we'll...
I do, just quickly, Chief, you mentioned that the coroner's office was going to be doing some additional work. Can you talk in any specifics about what they might be looking for?
Well, as anything, I think in any type of situation like this, the coroners are always going to run different types of tests, such as toxicology, to see if anything else may have played into. We have no idea, cannot know why and what the mental state or emotional state was of someone when something tragedy like this takes place. So those types of things, of course, will be taken care of and may have in the future some way to help answer the whys.
Is that it? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
Does everybody